Here. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Serve Brew. I hope you're having an awesome day today, wherever you are in the world. It is holiday season. It is Christmas time, Thanksgiving time. I am eating it up. I am a day after Thanksgiving Christmas tree person, but the people we're with today are not. They're like, it's Christmas time right now. I am so excited. These girls are two of like they are my people. Like outreach is their blood and heart and everything. You're gonna love them. They're part of the Servolution team as well as Church of the Highlands Montgomery campus and Dream Center. So welcome to the podcast, Bree and Pastor Rachel. Hey, so this is Brianna Russell and Pastor Rachel Erwin. How are y'all doing?
Thank you for inviting us. This is so much fun. We're excited to be here.
Super excited.
Oh man, I am stoked to have you guys on. I think Bree, you've done a Serve Brew like a long time ago. At the Birmingham Dream Center, but Miss Rachel, this is your first one to be on, and it's been a long time coming. So I thought, what perfect time to get you guys on than to talk about holiday outreach. But before we get into that, icebreaker question is, what is your coffee order, your Starbucks go-to?
Got hers right here.
I'm gonna have to read it. Let me read what it says. No, I love a sugar-free vanilla latte with almond milk or coconut milk, and then I love to get the cinnamon steamed into the milk.
Wow.
So that's kind of my drink.
Yeah. So I'm pretty simple when it comes to that. I like a pour over coffee, or just their medium roast, and then I get honey and cinnamon added to it. So kind of boring, but
That cinnamon's good.
Cinnamon is the common thread here. I like it. A little extra spice. I didn't know you could do that, Brie, to a latte. That's good to know. See, you learned some things. This was outreach. It's coffee order education as well.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell us about Montgomery Dream Center, Montgomery campus, and your roles on the team.
yeah. So Montgomery, the Montgomery campus started 11 years ago. My husband launched the campus. The way I know how old it is we had a 3-year-old at the time and a 4-month-old at the time. And now they are 14 and 11. And so they've grown up here at the campus. They know pretty much nothing but Church of the Highlands, and we're thankful for that. Right now the verdict's still out, but they love the church. They love serving in the church, and so we're having fun as a family right now. But the Dream Center actually started about 5 years ago at the Montgomery campus. We were always very outreach heavy. What I mean by that is we've always loved to serve in the community since day one. I've never really fit in as a campus pastor's wife. I didn't really know what that role was supposed to look like or how it was supposed to play out. So I just have always loved serving and doing outreach. And so I started a small group where we started feeding people downtown Montgomery peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so we would go downtown and just do with what resources we had. It was a few moms got together with our kids and just went out and served. And it caught on. And we started serving about 150 people every week. And those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches turned into hot meals. And, it just grew and grew and grew. And so that was the first outreach in Montgomery. And then it grew into a Dream Center later on, where Travis Dawkins started as our director here at the Dream Center. And it has just blossomed partners, ministries, and all of that. So we're very involved in the community and love it, and love serving and getting our church involved in serving as well.
I love it. You have such a beautiful heart, Pastor Rachel. Like I remember because I was at the Birmingham Dream Center for a long time. And I remember when the Dream Center started in Montgomery, and just you popped up all the time. You were always, and still are, just like one of the most enthusiastic, creative, joyful people. And I love that you didn't feel like you had to fit in a cookie cutter mold of like, this is my role. Like you did what God called you to do. And I think that's just such a beautiful example of, like even for people who are watching who are pastors' wives or pastoring a campus or whatever it is, like you do what God put on your heart. And it has just been such a blessing to be able to watch and be part of. So thank you for that. Like, big honor to you. Bree, tell us. I mean, I probably sing your praises all the time on these things. People know who you are just because of me, but you are a jewel. Tell us about your heart for outreach and your role there.
Um, well, I am probably the newest member to the Montgomery team here because I was with you at the Birmingham Dream Center for a little bit, and now at Montgomery and loving it. I am the administrative assistant here, and I have to say, like anybody who's done any type of admin, Rachel, I know she's done it. Tori, I've known you've done it. Like anybody listening who's been in an admin role in outreach knows it's not your typical admin role, and I love it that way. If anybody's into like personality assessments and stuff, like on the disc profile, I am an IC. So I'm on like total opposite ends of the wheel. So I'm people, and then I'm also have that task. So I love an outreach world, how those like just like combine. And so I get to just be in the details of a lot of things. And then it's really cool to just see an outreach happen and just like hearts of people just like getting to love on them and just see the big picture come together and see people's lives change. So it's really cool to be in that world.
Love it. I love you, Brie. We have had so many experiences together serving people, and like just to see your heart, it is so pure. It is so faithful, and you just always see the best in people. And you just have such a faithfulness too. Like whatever, wherever, it's always wherever they need me, wherever I can serve, wherever I can make a difference, I'm gonna show up and do it. And I think God is honoring you for that. And it's just a great example for those of us in outreach who are like, I'm just, I want to find a place, I want to make a difference. And for you to just show up and be willing, I think that is just a beautiful example of how God can use you as a vessel. So good job. I love you. Thank y'all for being on today. Today is all about holiday outreach, specifically the famous Giving Hope shopping mall at Church of the Highlands. But before we jump into all the nitty gritty details of that, I want to give you guys a little bonus info, bonus content. Bree is going to tell us about Thanksgiving outreach in Montgomery. What are y'all planning?
Yeah. All right. So Thanksgiving outreach. I mean, Thanksgiving's next week. That's crazy to think about. And which means really, I feel like anytime people ask me, I'm like, oh, Thanksgiving's November 20th, because that's when we do our outreach. So that's what feels like Thanksgiving to me. But this Saturday, we will be going out November 20th, and we will be giving meals to individuals. And actually, the way Montgomery does it is we have partnered with a local restaurant called Chappie's Deli, and they are amazing. And they basically have prepackaged these meals, and they're going to be frozen, but already pre-cooked. And so all the family has to do is warm it up, and it is a good quality Thanksgiving meal. And so we had our small groups in our campus identify families. And then we also went through some of our partners as well and had them identify families. And we have individuals who are going to come pick those up and deliver them to the families this Saturday, and just be able to bless them. And it also adds that personal touch, I feel like, going through the small group. So they know these people, and so they're able to just add that personal touch to it. So it's going to be really cool and fun to see.
And one great thing that she touched on is that we're partnering with a local restaurant. And so we all know that right now restaurant owners are struggling to find people to work. Their hours have been cut just due to not having enough employees, and just the overhead. Everything has gone up for their overhead and their prices of things. And so we decided to partner with this local deli that does a lot of work in the community. So it blesses them, and it's going to bless in return people for Thanksgiving. So it's a dual purpose.
Yes.
Brilliant. It's such a unique spin on it. I think it's so cool. I haven't heard the specific idea very much at all, if ever. I love it. And it's kind of like maybe a little more convenient than hauling turkeys and stuff.
No
Yeah.
frozen turkeys. And what's so good about it is they let us come in and taste test. And so we know that the product is very good. And so we've all had the stuffing and the turkey that everybody else is going to eat. And it's really good food. And so it's a good product to be able to present. So we're excited about it. And it's easier than a frozen turkey. I don't even know how to cook a turkey, to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever cooked a
I'd
turkey.
much rather a frozen meal.
I've cooked a ham, but not a frozen turkey.
I don't think I've cooked either. I think this year I'm gonna try a chicken. We'll see how that goes. I love that. Y'all do quality control. That's fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so thank you for giving us the bonus content. Thanksgiving. Everybody wants to know all the ideas. But I would love to jump into giving hope. So over the years, we have covered giving hope, like since probably the year after you guys started it. What are the ins and outs? How's it going? Some of our people in this Revolution community are new, so we don't even know what is Giving Hope all about. So I'd love for you guys to share kind of like the heart and the vision, a big picture behind it, and then we'll jump into how has it grown, how has it changed over the years. Yeah, what's Giving Hope?
Well, giving hope is special, one thing,
Mhm.
because this is just a giving time of the year. People love to give. And so, what we do at Giving Hope is we allow our church members to be a part of this Christmas experience for other people. And so, it all starts with a partnership. So, we are partnering with the church, to adopt children so that they will be able to have Christmas toys, because it's not all about toys. That's just a tool. We all know that. But to a child, it is all about the toys. And so when we do Christmas, we do toys. And so we partner with our church, and the church adopts what we call packets, and that's in the playbook. I know you said we're going to attach that, so the playbook will be in there. But we adopt packets, so that a packet represents a child, and then we get with our partner ministries, and we find children in the community that need Christmas, even people in the church that need a little extra help for Christmas. So it's more than just a toy, because what we've decided to do in Giving Hope is we allow the parents to come and be a part of that. So we set up an entire what we call Christmas mall. And so the parents can come in, they can write out their children's names on their gift tags, so that when they put the gift tag on the present, it's in mom and dad's handwriting. And then they get to go in and actually shop the mall, pick out 3 to 4 gifts where they can pick out what they believe their child would want for Christmas. And then our team wraps the presents for them at the end and puts that gift tag on it. And we have a moment with each family. So it's not just the tool, it's not just the gifts that we're giving them, but it's a moment that we get to present the gospel to them. And so we have a moment where we can share the real reason for Christmas, which is Jesus. And so we share Jesus with them and give them an opportunity to accept Christ. We invite them to come back to a Christmas service. We even give the families a gift, and every child receives a Bible with their toys. And so we try very hard to make it not just about the toys, but also attach Jesus to the real reason why we're doing any and all of it. So that's Giving Hope in a nutshell. And there's a lot of moving parts to it, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I love it. It's such a beautiful experience. Like every year that I have been part of it, or even just hearing other churches who are doing something similar, it is just one of the most high quality, high touch experiences ever. And it continues to you see the ripple effects from it. Like lives change after, wow, this church really cares about me, or wow, Jesus loves me. Like it just continues to ripple throughout the whole year. So I love how much time and intentionality is put into it. I would love to ask. So I shared before we started recording. My church is actually, I don't know if I'm supposed to share this on a podcast, but we're about 4 years old. Just got word that someone is donating like a bajillion toys, and we're gonna get to do a shopping mall. We are on a smaller scale than Highlands for sure. We're new, it's our first time. And so it's been like really cool for me to process. Like, I know that this is like the big picture, you guys do so much, but translating that to another church and like what are the essential components that we need to make sure to carry over, and what are some of the things we can say, you know what, that's a cool layer, but maybe next year we can add that on. So for you guys, could y'all speak into just like what are those essential components that we have to make this happen?
One thing is to make sure that the vision is known to the church. And so you let the church set the pace for how much you can do. The need is huge. There's always a need, that there are always children in the community that need this extra touch. But you can only go as far as what your church can budget or what the people are willing to do. So you may be a part of a small group or a small church, but there may be somebody in the church that wants to give a lot of money or a lot of resources to this. So you might could do way more toys for children than a larger church can do, So it doesn't really matter. I think you just let the church set the pace for how many adoptions can the church make. We noticed last year that we used to do 1,000 children, and that was because we could get 2,000 packets adopted. And so we knew that we would have margin for toys and to be able to add families. And so I think that's the important thing, is to make sure that you find out what the church budget is, and then to be able to let the church adoptions set the pace. So it's always probably important to do Giving Hope adoptions a month before, or maybe even 6 weeks before Christmas starts. That way that you can kind of see what the pace is going to be. And then the other thing would be to have the leaders in place. So every area of Giving Hope is an important area. So like, for instance, you would have a setup team leader and a gift inventory leader and a wrapping leader, just to have a point of contact for each area, because there's so many moving parts going on that you would want to be able to just talk to one person and let them be able to lead that charge. So having leadership in place. Storage is a big deal. I know for smaller churches, and even for us, it's a big deal. We have to bring in trucks actually that we store our gifts in, and pods and things like that. So you do have to consider that toys are going to take up space. So how much storage can you set up? And then are you going to do it outside? We've seen people do drive-throughs. There's so many ways you can do it that are scalable for a size. So it's space, leadership, and then also just letting the church set the pace of how much you can do.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I'll add to that, because this one's kind of in my little lane that I am in admin world, is the registration process. And that is like identifying, how are you going to identify the families? Are you going to go through partnerships? I know for us, we went through our partnerships first before we opened it up to others, to the community. So once we got our partnership numbers of kids, we've opened it up to the community, and now are just having a process of getting them registered, making sure they have the information they need so that they know where to come. And the way we actually did something new this past Sunday, a new way of registering. And what we did is we actually invited the families to an on-site registration on a Sunday. And so we're in the middle of one of our At the Movies series, which is a fun series our church does where we combine movies and church. And so it's a fun series to invite people to. So we told them like, hey, we'll be doing registration after our 11:30 and 4:30 service. We would love to buy you a coffee. And because we have a cafe, so we ended up just giving free complimentary coffee cards, and just sit down and register your child. And I would say it was a win for us because we actually saw 90% of them actually went into the service. And then one of the girls actually went through Growth Track. So she's like really wanting to get involved in church. A lot of them were like, we're definitely going to be back next week. So it was definitely a win for us in that. And it was also, what I loved about it, it also gave us like a touch point with them before they come that day. So it just added an extra little personal touch to be able to be with them face to face, hear their stories, pray with them. And so it was really cool.
Wow. I love that so much. And it's crazy how many points of contact there are for this whole process. Like, if you just think about it, you guys, like, with the people in the church, that's a whole dynamic, and they're getting these beautiful experiences and moments. Like, they're giving and they're connecting. And then the sign up process, I remember even being like in the Birmingham Dream Center when people would come to fill out their application to be on the sign up list, we would like sit and have these beautiful moments with them and be able to pray with them even before they got there. So I love that you guys have thought through that and made it just this beautiful, like almost like 2 month long experience for people. And there's anticipation and such just cool stuff that you guys have thought through and clearly like have gotten even better at it through the years. There's so many directions I could go with this because we could probably spend all day talking through the details. That's why I'm glad you mentioned the playbook, Pastor Rachel. For you guys listening, the Highlands has been so generous in sharing all of the resources through the years, but there's a new playbook that they have shared with all the campuses at Highlands. So you guys can get a peek into that, just kind of like the nuts and bolts. It's very much so like this is what you would get if you were a campus. So you get to see like all the behind the scenes information. We will link to that in the show notes. And if you guys have questions, just reach out to us and we will definitely try to get those things answered for you guys because we want to make it successful for y'all as well. Yeah, so if you guys would, I think what would be fun is to like talk through. You guys have given us a lot of great information for preparing, intaking of toys, getting the packets adopted, registering families. I did want to ask, as far as assigning appointment times for families to come and shop, or making sure that what do they have to present the day of? What are the requirements? How does that kind of experience start for them?
Yeah, so we actually have been working on that today. So I've been preparing all of the invitations that we're going to send out to the families. And so on that invitation, we have their name, we have their children's names, the age, and then the gender. That way, when what we call our shopping buddy, they actually are paired with a personal shopper that helps them go through the process, can look at the age and be able to point them in the right direction on which section of toys to get. And so what that entails is we give out an invitation and we'll mail that to them. And then we'll follow up with a phone call that just reminds them of the appointment time that they've been given. And we do give appointment times, so that's important too. And we always schedule them out, the families out, just so that we keep it very organized, very detailed, so a bunch of people aren't showing up and then having to wait. So we want to honor their time, and we do that by appointments. And when they come to the appointment, they bring their invitation and they actually bring identification just to show us that they are the person that's on the invite. And we're not legalistic with that. If there are families that are working or they signed up originally, but grandmother needs to bring them or dad needs to come and shop for them, we can make those adjustments for families. But we just want to make sure that we have the right identification at the check-in process. And then we also let them know by the phone call that it is important to be at the church at this appointment time. And we don't give, but we maybe give like 10 or 15 minutes of a late time, just because we want to honor the dream team that's serving. That's what we call our dream teams, the volunteers that are serving. We want to honor their time, and we want to honor the families' times that were actually there and can shop through the mall and get through the process. So that's kind of what we're working on right now are the invitations, and we'll continue working on that, and then we'll mail them out probably 2 weeks before the actual Giving Hope Mall.
I love that. I love that it's actually snail mail. I think that's so much fun and so exciting. And that's their actual ticket to get in. I do want to ask, going back a little bit, like, talk to me about the math of this. So, math of how do you guys schedule these appointment times? Like, how many families are you pushing through in a shift? And how long are each of those stations? And then I have another math question, but answer that one first.
Yeah. And I'll let you help with this too, but it's scalability. So like we're at a large campus, and so we could probably do the entire family at once. You know, we could just shift people through the mall, but we want to be personal. So we want to have this relational, personal touch with people. So we're looking at how many volunteers do we have for shopping buddies? How many families can we get through? And we feel like when we do our ministry moment, that there would be a personal touch where we could have someone praying with the family if needed, and not rushed and just cramped in there. So we're spreading it out. I believe we did 22 families at a time, at an appointment time. But I think it also depends on the size of the church. We're working with our Troy campus right now and helping with their Giving Hope. They're a smaller campus. They're also portable. So they have to set up in a different location to do their Giving Hope. And so they'll probably have about 5 families that go through at a time, and that's fine. And it works just the same. And in fact, I wish we could do that too. Just it's a very intimate time with the families, and you start to see more of the stories behind the families, and maybe that they want to talk and maybe feel a little bit more comfortable talking and sharing their moments, and then asking for prayer. And so I think it does depend on how much size you have at the camp or your church, and then the volunteers. So did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think what you're saying, the size, but also I love how you're talking about like the personal touch, like even being a big campus, like making sure you're still like having that personal touch. I think it's so important because like you said earlier, Giving Hope, yes, it's about giving toys to children, but it's also creating an experience for the parents to just have like a shopping experience and just feel like they're a part of their kids' Christmas.
And there's nothing like watching a family walk in with probably so many walls up and so much reservations, and just wondering, what in the world am I? It's a little intimidating. You're coming into a place maybe you don't know, and you're embarrassed maybe a little that you're even in this spot, that you need the extra help. There's just all these walls and barriers up. And the moment that they feel just that genuine love from the volunteers, those walls just start crumbling down, and they're just open to receive. It's just the love of Jesus that's so practical in this moments, that you just watch the exterior, they just start opening up. And it's so, I think, yes, you could get several people through at one time, but it is important to remember that it really is all about those people and that family, and the ministry moments that you're going to spend with them.
I love that so much. And I can testify, like, that is what you guys have worked in so well to this, is just taking your time and going slow with people to be able to just have the chance to have these conversations. How, this is a question I didn't plan, but like, how do you get the volunteers and the dream team to be so of one accord in that? Because not everybody is oriented that way. And I know there's different, I want to get into the different teams, but I feel like when I've been at Giving Hope, every volunteer is just so aware of how magical this is and how holy and sacred these moments are. How do you communicate that to your teams? How is that possible?
Well, I think our church does, our pastor does a really good job at just sharing the vision behind what we do as a church. And our Sunday services are primarily for the lost. That's Church of the Highlands. We exist for those that aren't here yet. And so I think our dream team is already being taught that it's not about us, it's about the people that don't know Jesus yet. And so that's kind of the way that we're taught anyway. It's just to be focused on the non-believer, or be focused on the hurting. So that part's pretty easy, but it is communicating the heart. I think a lot of people, they're not bent towards outreach, and that's okay. There may even be fear there, or awkwardness, or not really knowing how to talk to people. And there are certain teams that you don't have to talk to people. There are certain teams that you can be a part of Giving Hope, and you're not having to be in a ministry type setting with a family. And so we make sure that they know that there are moments where you could be in the inventory, where you're counting toys, and what you're doing for Giving Hope and for the families is just as important as walking the family through and talking with them and praying with them. And so every area of the volunteers for Giving Hope matters. So you can have some that are more hands-on, and then you can have some moments that are or some positions or areas where you're not having to be hands-on. So we make sure that they know that they are not pressured to be the shopping buddy or the ministry prayer partner for the family. And so we let people operate in their gifts. And a lot of times people's gifts are behind the scenes, and their gift is very important. We need that gift. And so it's just letting them know that even Giving Hope, it's the same as the church. You can operate in your gift setting.
Yeah. And I'd even say that like our church does a really good job of like with the pastor sharing it from the stage, and also like using media, you know, in the world we live in today. And so I think for the past couple weeks, like we've had a Giving Hope video. Our church also loves to share stories, whether through our social media or on the screen in a testimony form. So sharing the stories of how people's lives have been impacted in the past, to really, because honestly, Christmas is a season where people want to be generous. People's hearts are more open to be generous. So honestly, a Christmas outreach is a great way to build your outreach team, because it's just a season where people want to be a part and serve. And so I would say like media, and I will say Rachel right here is a social media queen. She is recruiting, getting people through social media. I feel like you should tell what you just recently did.
Podcast plan for you, Rachel. That's
I feel like you should tell your most recent.
I love it. I love that you went do what?
I said social media does help.
You do so good. Like she's gonna teach me how to do reels because I don't know. It's just like okay, yes, ma'am. So much fun. I'm glad you said that, Brie, because when Rachel, you were talking about the teams and like how people can be part of this, even if you're not like a people person. And I think Highlands does such a great job of like the following Sunday, especially, it is like these stories are celebrated so much. Like, I can get tears thinking about hearing these stories. And it's like, it's a gift back to the church. Like, even if you weren't there, even if you gave a toy, this belongs to the kingdom of God, which means it belongs to you. And so the way that you guys celebrate that, and this is our whole family was part of this, I think is just, it's so beautiful how it brings everyone together in such a pretty, like, beautiful way. Okay. I could go on and on with so many questions. I have to like reel it down. Really fast, quick answer. How far apart are these appointment times in general? Are we talking an hour? Are we talking 30 minutes? Are y'all in the 15s? 30.
Again, I think it depends on church size and where the people are coming to. You have to have a holding area where people can kind of hang out if they get there early or dropped off early. So about 30 minutes just to keep the ball rolling. And then we break for lunch and let our volunteers get a little food and refuel and then go right back at it.
Okay. Wow. That's good. I would love to know, now you've shared a great overview. Could you walk us through one more time? And I don't know if there's extra, but like all the teams, what are all the areas that people go through, but also the volunteer opportunities so people can kind of start thinking how to empower and plug people in?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons is to adopt a child. So that we call that our packets. And so that's probably the first step, is that if there are people that can't serve or don't feel comfortable serving, then we would love for you to adopt a child through our packets, or even bring toys. We have people that will just buy toys throughout the entire year and bring them and donate them, which is huge, amazing. But I have a list. I'll read those to you if that's okay.
Hold on. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
You go too far. Back to the toy collecting. I meant to ask another math question. How many packets do you guys give out versus how many families do you sign up? What's the ratio?
Sorry. So for us, because we want margin, so we feel like if we do adopt two packets, that equals one child. So right now we have currently at our campus, 512 packets have been adopted. Okay, so what's that math? It's at 220. I'm not good at math. 260. Let's just say that. We can do about 260 children. So 2 packets per child.
That is easy math. I can do that. Kinda. I can't find the 512, but okay, 2 to 1. That's great.
We
Thank
get
you.
1,000 packets adopted. We can see up to 500 children.
So much
So
easier. Thank
better.
you.
We like that better.
Okay, cool. Okay, now on to the rest of the sections and the teams.
So I'll do this. I've always, we've had a friendly competition between campuses at Highlands where we just love the decorating component. And so it's just fun. We do have decorating packets now that our creative team puts out, which is incredible, so much easier. But before all that happened, we would get really creative. So we would have a creative team that would help. And now actually it's moved into a decorating team. So there are a group of people that are very passionate about just decorating for Giving Hope. And so they had started a few weeks back. And so they're actually making things now for Giving Hope. So that's a team that's probably not on the playbook, but it's important. A setup team, which of course, you know what that is. A gift inventory team. So you got to know what you have. You need to know how many toys you have for those children, and you can measure that by knowing what the age group is of the child and just being able to figure out how many toys you have and how many more toys you need. Greeter team, that's always fun with the Christmas hats. Registration sign-in team, a preschool kids team, which I think is so much fun because there are families that have to bring their children, but we don't want that to be the spoiler. We don't want them to know what gifts they're getting for Christmas. And so we actually have an area where it's not just childcare, but they're getting presented the gospel as well. Christmas crafts, cookies, and then the Christmas story is presented to them. So that's fun. A takedown team, because that's important. You got to have that takedown team. A parking team, which is holding up signs, Merry Christmas, the Christmas hats, all the fun things. A facilities cleanup team, got to have that. A gift wrapping team, which is like, to me, there are more people that want to wrap gifts, and it's just always fun. And they go over and beyond with the bows and all the fun things. A hospitality team, which is what we use as our area where when the families get there and they're waiting and they're filling out their gift tags, we actually have a room set up for them where they can have meal or a breakfast or like just snacks and juice and hot cocoa. So the hospitality team takes care of that. A shopping buddy team. So this has a private sign up link. We recruit these people where we're asking somebody that may be comfortable, like if hard questions come up or hard situations come up or a family breaks down and they're just very emotional. We want to make sure that we have the shopping buddies that are with them know how to handle those situations. And so that team is actually handpicked and trained. And that's important. And so then we have the ministry prayer team. And that again is another team where we really want someone that's, knows how to pray, knows how to maybe walk somebody through a hard situation. And then the kids check in and check out team. We also added another team. It's called the Final Touch team. So the team that puts the gifts in the cars, we want to make sure that the last thing that they have, the last moment that they have with Giving Hope, that someone is telling them that they love them, that they're glad that they came, and they actually give the families a gift and invite them to come back to church for one of our Christmas services. So it's just that final touch. You're out the door. We want to make sure if you didn't already, that you are loved, that Jesus loves you, and we want you to come back and visit us. So
yeah. And I'll add one more team to that. That's good to build. That's good to build on the pre-side, on the prep side, is a call team. So if you do have people calling it, because once it gets out there, people are going to be calling into your church. So just having a team that's willing to return voicemails and just talk to them on the phone, let them know, hey, we're having registration on site, or however you do your registration. It's just helpful to have a team to help you with that as well. So
very important.
That's awesome. Man, so many fun teams. I love the Final Touch team. That is such a special and thoughtful thing. And again, it's the layering that you guys have done so well. I also had a serve meetup earlier today, and Shannon from the Greystone campus was on. And she was telling me that they have done a couple of really cool things too. And I love that each campus has fun little twists to it. They said they have a sleigh team. So if a family can't fit all the gifts in their car, they have a group of men in their trucks who will deliver the gifts, and it's like their ministry and they love it.
That's cute.
So sweet. I was like, that's such a fun idea. And it's guys who don't maybe want to be all up in their wrapping gifts, but they can get in their truck and be Santa Claus for the day. It's so cool. And then she also told me, sorry, I'm like adding to this with you guys, like I'm part of the interviewees.
Yeah, we need to take notes.
I know.
Cute names, sleigh team.
Cross-pollination
Yeah, that's really cute.
campuses.
I love that.
But then at some point, I don't know how this all works out practically, but the shopping buddies somehow get the information of who they're going to be paired with as the shopper ahead of time. And they will like text, send a picture like, hey, I'm going to shop with you today or next week. Like, let's meet. And she said they stay in touch throughout the year. A lot of them build relationships. And it just got me thinking, like, golly, there are so many opportunities to be able to just make this beautiful. And, y'all have just done so well thinking through the talents of the people, thinking through the skill sets and the giftings, and making sure that everyone has a place to thrive. And I think that that is maybe one of the biggest keys to this whole thing is connecting those dots and helping people just be able to really connect on that level. So amazing stuff. I would like to ask, maybe there's so many questions, guys. This is really hard. What would you say has maybe evolved over the years? So, like, even down to, I know during COVID, you guys pivoted a lot. There was a lot of drive-through action. Bree, maybe you could share about, didn't you guys do like an Amazon wish list at some point? Are y'all doing that again? What's that all about? No.
Yeah. Well, people can still order from Amazon, but we ask that it be shipped to their own house and they bring the gifts to the campus. So we are no longer having them shipped to us. But definitely Amazon is still an option for people to order gifts. But yeah, it definitely has evolved over the years, and I've been a part. I was actually talking to her earlier about how things have evolved and changed. Like 2 years ago, when I was first on staff with Given Hope, like all the registrations were on paper, and now we've switched to more like a digital form of registration. COVID, I feel like, forced a lot of things to go digital. So that's definitely an area that's changed. And then definitely last year with COVID, and, you know, based off where you're living now, this may still be an option that you need to do, or would be better for you is like a drive-through Giving Hope. So it was a shopping mall experience in a drive-through that we did when I was still at the Birmingham Dream Center. And the families just drove through and were given the gifts, but we were still trying to be very intentional with making sure like we made it a fun experience by like having it going through their radio for us to talk to them while they're waiting in their car, and just giving giveaways while they're waiting, and then they go through the drive-through and receive their gifts. So that was what we did through COVID, but I would say I love the in-person experience. There's just something about it that's just special. And so yeah, definitely a more digital form. Teams have evolved over time. Decorations have evolved over time. Just every year, just like learning from that and just being like, okay, what worked this year that we can take into next year, and what didn't work this year that we can find a way to improve on that. Like, how can you improve your first impression when they come through? How can you improve, you know, their experience going through the tables and the flow of things, and the ministry moment, where it's placed in it. Like, is it better before or after? So just honestly, we try a lot of new things every year. And just every year it gets better. So
that's what I love about outreach, is that you can be a little bit more flexible, and you can be more fluid and change things up and try different ideas. And so I think the main thing that has evolved is really allowing the dream team, again, the volunteers, to set the pace. So we had someone that is gifted in construction, and they said, hey, I would love to build a house for you guys. And like, I want to build a house, and like a Christmas house, and a hallway, and I want it to have a fireplace that's actually working. And I'm like, this was never part of the playbook. This was never a part of the plan. But this person actually built the house and had more joy seeing those families walk through. I mean, tears sweeping down his face, like, felt like he was a huge part of the success of Giving Hope. And it was really just him operating in the gifts that God's given him, and then him putting it to use, that we probably never would have done. We never would have created that, because that was never in my wheelhouse. It was never, in our team's wheelhouse, but this person just wanted to add what was extra to there. And so I think it's cool to really get to know your volunteers and get to know, what is God putting in them that they could add to Giving Hope. And so, yes, the playbook's great, but every campus has different people at every campus. And so we may do something totally different because somebody that we have met that's a volunteer has a different gift set. So it's just allowing God to use people on the volunteer side, as well as the people that we get to serve. So
because God's placed them at your campus or church for a reason. And they have those gifts, and it's just going to take your Giving Hope to the level that God wants it to be at, because he has them there. And I think when your volunteers feel fulfilled, when they feel like they've had a special part and they've been able to use their unique gifts in it on the day of Giving Hope, that's going to overflow. And the people coming in will sense that.
And then there's the buy-in for next year.
Wow. That's so cool. And I see it everywhere. I think people, y'all are so right. People just having the chance to know that, like, my dreams have a place to live here and to grow here and to make a difference. Like, they find purpose in that. So for y'all just to create that space and say, here's the play we're going to run, but like, there's room for you to dream with us and bring your colors and your flavors. There's things y'all could have never thought of in your own. Like, there's so many things that God wants to do. And so for y'all to be able to just give people that space is so, so cool. And that's why it's as beautiful as it is, because it's a reflection of them too. So that's amazing. This is kind of a dumb question, but it's obvious. Like, there's no reason to ask it, but I want to go ahead and ask it anyway, because I think y'all will summarize it so well. There's so many Christmas expressions and outreaches, and I know Highlands has been doing Giving Hope, I guess, what, 7 years or something. Why do you think Giving Hope is the thing that's stuck church wide for this many years? What makes it so special?
I'd say Giving Hope has become bigger than Serve Day. Honestly, it feels like there's just so many moving parts to it, and it's well thought out. It's very organized. There's a system in place, and it's excellent. And so I believe that's one of the main reasons that we can make a playbook and we can offer it to other churches or to other organizations and just say, here it is. We've ran the play. We've done it. We've tweaked it because we've made the mistakes. And we're going to make more mistakes this year, and we're going to tweak it the next year. And so I think it's organized, and we've thought it out, and I think God's hands on it because it's blessing his people, but it's also the church loves it. Like the volunteers ask, like, I don't even worry about how many volunteers we're going to have, because people are so excited about serving this event. And so I don't know. I think it's just something that's been organized. It's well thought out, and it does take a lot of prep work. But in the end, when people are giving their hearts to Jesus and little kids are having their Christmas morning filled with joy, it's worth it all. So.
And I do think it's like a special Christmas outreach. And the fact what we were saying earlier is it's not just giving a toy and sending it home. It's creating an experience. And so it's there's so much more to it than just like, okay, here's your toy, go home, give it like the parents are a part of the process. You're building relationships. Stories are coming out of it, of life change, and people who are just, so many stories of just like people who are just blessed by it, and tears that I think when you see, like when our dream teamers see like people crying and the tears and just how blessed they are by it, they're like, well, I'll be back next year.
Yeah. And I think you could do it in different ways. You know, I've even thought about ideas of if someone doesn't have a lot of children in their community that they know that need help. I mean, you could even do this with elderly. You could do this with nursing homes. It could be Giving Hope nursing homes. It could be with the foster children that are coming into care and they have come in at midnight and the foster family has nothing. I mean, you could build packages for this. So it doesn't have to necessarily be toys. It could be very broad. Yeah. You could use the same system with adoptions and all of that just for different scenarios. And honestly, you could do it throughout the year in different areas. I mean, you could take it even further than Christmas if you wanted to. It's a great model.
Yeah, it's basically just creating an experience that gives hope and gives dignity to it.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. Y'all are like blowing my mind. This is crazy. Let's say Giving Hope like every day. Serve days every day. Okay, let's just create the hashtag right now. I love it so much. Okay, I have 2 more closing questions. One really quick. One favorite story or testimony from Giving Hope past. Christmas past. Giving Hope past.
Yes, actually, when I was talking about, I have a story. So I when I was serving Giving Hope 2 years ago, there's a lady by the name of Ashley that came in, and she was starting her shopping experience. And then the next thing, she comes to the table for the age for her child, and her face just lights up. Like, I mean, gets super excited over a toy. And she picks it up. It's a baby alive doll. And she's like, me and my daughter prayed for this. And it was just touched my heart so much. So to give a little more story behind it. So she told us that her and her daughter were watching TV and a Baby Alive commercial came on. And her daughter said wishfully, like, Mom, I want that. And her mom, Ashley, not knowing how they would be able to, she didn't even know how she was going to provide Christmas that year, said, we're going to have to pray for it. And so, like, in that moment, she prayed with her daughter, instilling faith into her. And the Lord blessed that. So on that day of Giving Hope, like, there was the Baby Alive doll. And in Giving Hope, toys are constantly being restocked on the tables. And so the fact that that doll was there at the moment she came through, I just love that story, because I think, one, it shows how much God loves the faith of a child. And the little girl praying for it, because her mom said, I'm going to go home and tell her what God has done. And so, one, the faith of a child. And I think God also just wanted to bless the faith of that mom and her instilling the faith in the child, because Ashley left that day with a stronger faith as well. So I left that day with a stronger faith as well.
Oh, I have so many goosebumps. It's amazing. You just don't know what God is doing behind the scenes. That's what blows my mind with outreach all over the board. Like, you never know. I did like something with my friends a couple weeks ago, and it was like we just showed up and did something completely small, and this woman just starts sobbing like, you have no idea, I needed this today. You don't know what prayers you're answering for people, and that's just like where the obedience of it all comes in, and it's such a joy. So, it's such a beautiful story, Bree. That makes me want to go buy like all the Baby Alives. Like, all these mamas, I know you're praying. That's so cool. Okay, one more question. How can people follow you guys, follow Giving Hope this season, social media queens?
Well, we have just started a Highlands Outreach Instagram page, which we're so excited about, but it's at Highlands Outreach. So we had several pages that different campuses, I think we had like 20 pages out there in Instagram world. And so we've combined it all into one. And so that's our little story platform for Highlands Outreach. And so you will be able to see some Giving Hope And then, of course, our personal ones will have some Instagram love on those as well. So
Your personal handles so we can follow those too.
at Rachel Erwin. I think it's at Rachel_Erwin.
I'll make sure we link
It
it.
is. And mine is at Brianna Nicole 67.
All right, got that middle name in there. All right, we will link that so people can follow you guys, not just for Giving Hope, but all throughout the year, because y'all are always, just your perspective is so beautiful on the outreach world and just loving people for Jesus. So we honor you guys. Thank you so much for taking time to pour into us. Listeners, thank you guys for jumping on. Like I said, link to the Giving Hope Playbook will be included. And then we also have some other resources at servolution.org. So there's a quick guide on how to do the shopping mall as well, if you just want to quick glance, and just some other fun things. So servolution.org. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, Bree and Rachel. We'll see you guys next time on the Serve Brew. Bye.
Bye.